Welcome to Thought Garden on the Air, where entrepreneurs who have a story to tell come to bring out their inner author. I'm your host, Alexis Quintal, the CEO and owner of Rosarium PR and Marketing Collective. And today we're excited to talk with Scharrell Jackson. She's an international keynote speaker, a high-performance leadership coach, and a published author. She works on one-on-one with leaders to enlighten, empower, and elevate them through every encounter. And Scharrell's in the process of publishing her first solo book. She's going to talk to us a little bit about how she contributed a chapter titled A Lasting Impression to the anthology Ubuntu, which is about the individuals whose shoulders we stand on. So we're looking forward to learning more about your journey. Welcome, Scharrell.
Thank you. Good morning, Alexis. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's jump right in. I want to hear more about your background and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, gosh, background. We only have a little bit of time, so I'm going to tell you a little bit quickly, and then we can always, anybody can email me or connect with me on social media. But I was a 35-year corporate executive in a male-dominated environment. So for most of my career, I was the only woman in the room, and also the only African American in the room. And in that, through a journey of a myriad of things, I had become an overachiever, a woman who grew up accomplishing a lot, but on the inside had a lot of self-esteem issues and insecurity. And so I always became an overdoer, overgiver, over, for lack of a better word, not having appropriate boundaries, not really asking for what I want, focusing more on what other people needed, and oftentimes not exhibiting the appropriate care for myself. And so I entreed into corporate America, quickly climbed the corporate ladder to become a C-level executive, COO, CFO, partner in male dominant industries, like I said, and recognized that there just weren't very many women at the table. So about 9.5 years ago, I started First Leadership in Heels, a nonprofit now organization that focused on creating a safe space for women to talk about matters of the heart that impacted them personally, professionally, and in the community, and really provide them with the tangible tools to break the barriers that start with fear, whether self-imposed or imposed with others, learn how to set appropriate boundaries, ask for what you want, and really understand that you matter, and becoming the best version of your authentic self then positions you to hit the pinnacle of success. So I was doing that, running businesses and experiencing an amazing career, but there was a gnawing at the bit in that I knew that God wanted more from me, quite frankly. And about 2 years ago, I answered the call to step into entrepreneurship on a full-time basis, in spite of the fear of the economic sustainability, because I was moving into an eat what you kill environment. I was a single mom who raised 3 kids, and my last child graduated from college. I decided to take that leap of faith and answer the call and say yes. So I'd already been speaking for about 17 years while I was in corporate, but decided to make it my full-time revenue stream, where I would go out and really provide access to individuals like yourself and other leaders who have a desire to entree into their purpose and passion, but maybe lack the business acumen or have a little bit of fear or ambiguity on how to actually get there. So I started the high performance leadership coaching, along with doing some business consulting to help individuals run a scalable, sustainable business and drop the money down to the bottom line. And I continue to speak internationally on a myriad of topics to support leaders to move to what I call in-game excellence, which is getting clear on how you want to live your life and experience it, not just the transactions you close, and decisive excellence as the payoff, making sure that every decision you make is in alignment with your end game. So I've been doing it for 2 years, and it has been absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you took that call. And I know that's like that kind of fear of the unknown. And like you said, it's all on you, right? To make sure
It's
that you're
all
getting
on you,
by
Alexa.
financially. And yeah. Well, I wonder too, so you talked about, obviously being a woman in a male dominated industry, like what type of challenges did you face and how have those experiences shaped you into who you are today?
For a long time, I operated in inauthenticity, which now we have coined it as the imposter syndrome, We didn't necessarily say that back then, but I was busy
Mhm.
trying to be who I thought other people wanted me to be, especially being in a room primarily with men, and in the room primarily with men who were not Black. Nobody
Mhm.
else was Black but me in leadership. And so a couple of the challenges that I faced was internal in terms of feeling insecure and overdoing and overgiving. Like I said, not feeling like I was enough, not having the appropriate boundaries. So I had no margin in my calendar. I lacked balance in my life, not necessarily exercising the proper self care between being a single mom and a corporate executive, and really not knowing how to say no. Some of the other
Right.
things that I experienced was just downright prejudice and racism. Individuals not necessarily wanting me there because of who I was, but accepting me to be there because of what I did for them, because I was a damn good executive. I know how to run
Mhm.
companies, I know how to make money, I know how to build leaders. But there was challenging because I wasn't necessarily the person of choice. Had it been about cultural fit and what other people believe was alignment then. So there was some cruelty in the space with
Yeah.
individuals, with things that were said, the way that I was treated, not being invited to the party, for lack of a better word. Everybody goes to lunch, but they don't invite you. Um,
Wow.
and not feeling worthy enough to really ask for what I want, which obviously I evolved into. But those were some of the challenges. And running an organization as a single mom, not knowing how to balance myself and understanding the importance of self-care and knowing that being the best version of myself allowed me to bring the best version of myself to work and home, which I did
Mhm.
learn, throughout my career, but it took some time to get there.
Right. It's a good point you said too. It's about being your best self at work and at home. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
Right. And
So,
oftentimes people bifurcate their life, right? They walk in that
mm,
imposter syndrome, or they code switch depending on the environment that they're in,
yeah.
as opposed to
Right.
actually being exactly who it is that they are, because a lot of people don't know themselves. So I did the work,
Mm,
and this is the result.
that's amazing. So, did you have a role model or mentor who impacted you and kind of helped you through some of these challenging phases?
I had a myriad of role models, not that I always knew that's what they were. But when
Mm,
you go back and read the chapter, A Lasting Impression, which I know we'll talk about, when I really think back, it started with my grandmother, who always empowered me. Words have power.
mm,
I would say to anybody listening, especially with small children, pay attention to the words that you pour into the spirit of another person. I always was strong and had leadership capabilities, but also could be coined as bossy, or, you're too direct. And sometimes will stifle the creativity that's a natural gift in a person. So I'd say my grandmother, and then there were individuals in my life who cultivated and nourished me around becoming the best version of myself, and also healed me from some of the things I'd gone through. I experienced some domestic violence and rape in my life early in my life. So there were individuals who walked me through that into Christianity. And then there were
mm,
corporate leaders in my life who supported me
mhm,
on my corporate journey. So I have a myriad of
mhm,
individuals who've been mentors and sponsors in my life, and
mhm,
continue to coach with individuals so that I can continue to be the best version of myself.
mm. So, what drives you? Like, what's your favorite part of your life right now?
The thing that drives me the most is the ability to create impact. What I've found is that while my job in some instances, depending on if I'm coaching on a one-to-one or if I'm speaking on a big stage on a one-to-many, it's about the ability to shift lives to a space of understanding and getting clarity on who you are and how you want to live your life. And most importantly, gaining the confidence to actually go for what it is that you want, and then shifting to the payoff of decisive excellence so that you make your decisions in alignment. And when I'm able to get these amazing testimonials or write-ups from individuals or great reviews from individuals on my website or on my LinkedIn, it drives me. And
Mm,
my kings, my daughter, being able to contribute to their life and watching it matriculate into something fantastic drives me. But it's most
yeah,
importantly just living a life to honor who I am as an individual, and to be able to just be able to impact one life a day drives me. It fuels me to get up every day.
one a day. Yeah, I
One
love
a
that.
day.
Just one a day. I mean, you're probably impacting more than one a day, but at least you're not waking up with that. Do you ever feel like pressure from the amount of people that are kind of relying on you?
I do. It's interesting because prior to jumping on this call, we're talking about scaling the organization.
Mm,
How do we broaden the organization in a way that I never sacrifice myself? Because I live on a
yeah.
life cadence around peace and joy, great health, low stress, impact, and abundance. And so I don't make any
Mm,
decisions disaligned with that. So when I find myself in a space where I'm feeling like the world is coming down, or I don't have enough white space on the calendar, that's an impact, right? And
yeah.
so I have to shift. So we're working on continually what I offer my clients, scaling the organization, reevaluating and prioritizing, automating and ensuring that we're leveling up our offering without sacrificing ourselves. And so
Mm,
there's pressure for sure. But I only give
yeah.
negativity about 3 minutes and then I keep it pushing. So it's all good.
3 minutes. Okay.
3 minutes. You
I
got
like that you have a
three
time
minutes.
frame.
I don't care if it's a hard conversation, if it's the way I feel, anxiety, stress. You got 3 minutes, and then I've got to activate that decision and move in alignment with my end game.
Nice. So I want to jump to kind of, your writing process and writing the chapter for the anthology. Like, what was your experience like? Did you have any challenges getting that completed?
You know, it was a beautiful experience. And initially, there's challenges. I think for any of us to do something we haven't done before to completion, many times we get paralyzed in the process because we oftentimes think we know what the process should look like. So it was challenging in
Mhm.
that, am I doing it right? Is it good enough? Are these the appropriate words that I should be using? But from the very beginning on how it unfolded, there's a wonderful woman by the name of Linda Fisk who owns Leadership Global. And she was an MC of an event where I was going to be a keynote, and we met through dinner. I volunteered to pick her up from the airport through a quick dinner, getting to know each other, you know, trying to kill traffic before I dropped her off at the hotel. I shared a little bit about my background and my story, and she said, "You should be in this book. It might be
Mm,
closed for
wow.
authors, but let me look into it." Long story short, I met the publisher and they did a video interview because the book was already ready to go to print. I was under the impression I would be the last chapter in the book. And I just started to write. And the anthology is On Whose Shoulders We Stand. And it is about being and bearing the shoulders for other individuals to catapult them up. And it's really in alignment with the
Yeah.
life that I live, what I'm sure your
Yeah.
podcast is doing for others. And so as I began to really start to share what and whose shoulders I stood on, it really positioned me to understand the individuals who literally have positioned me to be in a place that I'm in today, where I can live a life of impact, where I've had a lot of success, and I can enjoy the journey. And it's because of the shoulders of the individuals whose I've stood on, who have poured positivity in my life, who've taught me grit and resilience, who have helped me heal through hard times, and who have guided me that taking the stairs is the way to get to the top. You can't always jump on the elevator.
Mm,
And so
right.
those individuals left a lasting impression in my life. And that's literally as I was writing the chapter, how came up with the title.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love that. So I'm curious too, because now you're writing a book by yourself, right? You're writing a solo book, but you started off writing kind of more of a collaborative book. What are the main like differences, and what are you kind of finding between the two?
You know, that's a great question. I'm actually in the process of doing both. There is an amazing publisher we actually did
Oh,
Ubuntu that is has an 8 book series, Hear Us Roar, and it's going to be phenomenal. And it's about endurance and stealth, and it's about, you know, the power of decision. It's about change. And she has this 8 book series that I've been invited to participate in and participate in the documentary. And it really has catapulted and rebirthed the book that was already in me. I started writing a book,
mm,
Loyalty to a Fault. I don't necessarily know if the editor and publishers will change the name because they kind of have a lot of
okay,
say and guidance in what you end up doing. But it's about
right.
understanding what it means to actually live a life of service and support while you're on your journey to the top, and what it looks like to actually understand how to support individuals versus to over contribute to the detriment of yourself. and learning how to set
Oh.
boundaries around loyalty
Mhm.
and not mismanaging what it actually means. I think sometimes we think loyalty means that we have to self deprecate to the point that we have no boundaries and we don't amplify the power of no, that we don't need to take care of ourselves because we're so busy taking care of others. That white space on the calendar or self care is really not an option because there's no time. But what we have to
Mhm.
learn, and I'm hoping that the book will unfold, is that to be loyal to a fault is to actually prohibit individuals from getting the best version of you. And when you take
True.
care of yourself, you then can support and serve others in a way that is magnificent and can play a
Mhm.
role in being the shoulders others can stand on to catapult them while you continue to elevate. And then just walking through
Right.
some of the tools that we can use to make sure that we maintain that um, care for ourselves and that we break the barrier of fear and that we understand what it looks like to actually say no and not be responsible for how people feel, as long as we do it with
Right.
kindness and humility.
Right.
So it's going to be an amazing book, both for personal and professional growth.
So is it a memoir or is it more of a like a nonfiction, personal, professional growth
No, I'm not
kind of thing?
sure how they will actually categorize it in the
Okay.
literary history yet. I'm still learning all of that, to be perfectly candid with you, but it'll be a compilation of both. There'll be some
Right, because
storytelling
it's your own
in alignment with
experiences
my
that you're sharing.
experience
Yeah.
in personal life and business. But then there's also going to be knowledge and business advice and tools on how to execute so that you truly can elevate in your career or in your personal life, whatever your top looks like.
Mm, okay. I love that. So when you're looking at, so obviously this show mostly is listened to by other authors. So kind of how would you share with them? Like how can they overcome self-doubt and find their unique voice, either as an author or even in their personal life? Like what kind of advice would you give?
I think first, as an author, you just have to start writing. I think
Hmm.
that you have to really frame out what you want your reader to get, introduce the story so that it's compelling, be succinct in your word choice, and then, kind of create the skeleton or table of contents, for lack of a better word, the chapters, and not make it too
Hmm.
long because obviously in this day and age, individuals don't have a long attention span, but ensure to give people what they need, not necessarily what you feel. Oftentimes we write a book, and it depends on your purpose. Um, the purpose of my book is to create impact. It's for individuals to
Right.
use it as a guiding light to how they want to lead their lives. And if you want individuals to buy your book, you want to meet them where they are and give them what they need. So I
Hmm.
would encourage authors to really consider what the needs are of their reading audience and then to just
Hmm.
write and
Right.
to not worry about how perfect it is, but make sure that it's succinct and that every chapter has a beginning and an ending, and that they're walking away with something that they can take away and apply. That would be my advice. And I
Right.
think that that same thing we have to do in our life, that we
Yeah.
decide how we want to begin and end our days every day, and that we set the stage for that.
Mm,
So when you wake up every
yeah.
day, that you affirm the day you're going to have, that you welcome yourself into the
Mm,
space and you make the decision to be the light in this dark world, that you claim today is going to be amazing, not because of what happens, but because it's the choice that you make, and that you walk it out and don't give room for things that disrupt your end game. And I think that
right.
even though graceful disruptions come into our life, if we decide how we're going to manage our day, just our day, moment by
Right.
moment, we'll find that the elevation of joy and peace starts to come when we choose to dismiss the things that no longer serve us well. It's a process, and there's a lot we go through. That's why we do
Mm,
coaching and things of that nature. But I think you got to start your day knowing how you want it to end and set the stage and begin it that way. And then live it
mhm.
out throughout the day.
I like how you kind of, even when you were talking about authors, but it also relates to us in our lives, is kind of waking up with your purpose and your why, but also
Right.
combining that with your needs
Exactly.
and keeping, making sure that you're really focusing on both and kind of listening to yourself in both those places.
And give yourself what you need. First thing in the morning, I always tell people, don't pick up the phone. Take
Yeah.
time to actually understand that, just the fact that we woke up today, even if it's with a little bit of an ailment or maybe even some sickness, that we're here and to
Mhm.
declare what we want to be in this world. I choose to be light. And so declare that my day is going to be amazing, even though some difficult things may happen throughout the day. And as you start
Yeah.
to set that cadence on how you want to live your life, you'll be amazed at how people will start to honor that. They'll
Yeah.
start to recognize that Scharrell, she don't like a whole lot of drama and she's not getting ready to deal with a whole lot of stress. And so they'll start to fall off or they'll shape up because you now have boundaries and you're clear. And it doesn't have to be a
Right.
demand. It just has to be the way that you show up and you live your life. It's not as hard as it seems. It just takes practice.
Mm. Okay.
But start without the phone
Yeah.
because
I
that's
know
the
it's always so
initial
much easier
disruptor.
said. It's so much easier said than done. But yeah.
Practice, right?
So I'm excited to hear too what your goals are for your future in terms of writing and entrepreneurship. Is there anything exciting coming up that you want to share?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, my goal is to create a legacy where lives are lifted, individuals move to a higher level of leadership, whether they choose to be a domestic engineer and take care of their family. And that's their greatest accomplishment, which I feel is mine, even though I am a corporate
Mhm.
executive, or whether they choose to go to the C suite. I think that, when I think about my goals, it is to play a role in the lives that welcome me in to be able to contribute to their growth,
Yeah.
internal and external growth. I think, my personal goal obviously is to create a best-selling book that we're not just saying is a bestseller because we've used some of the tricks of the trade to say it, but that people
Mm-hmm.
actually buy and
Right.
read. It is to get on
Yeah.
stages and places and spaces internationally and nationally where I can
Right.
speak to audiences on the things that we need: authentic leadership, conquering the imposter syndrome, self care, the best version of you, women of courage, amplifying your
Mm.
voice, asking for what you want, and high performance leadership, the power of decision. I think that, to be able to be in front of people, to walk them through how they can accomplish their goals, and to be able to offer support and tools that they can walk away with is an amazing thing. So that's one of the goals,
Yeah.
to get on more stages and then just to grow my business as a coach
Right.
and a business consultant so that I can impact lives and support other people on their journey to success. So those
Yeah.
are my goals, and have a whole lot of fun while I'm doing it.
Yes. Always.
A whole lot of fun.
Yeah. I love that. I love that too. And it really ties. So we work with a lot of authors, and a big piece of why entrepreneurs especially start writing books and either putting their expertise out there, or it could even be something like a fantasy novel, it can be totally unique. But the fact that they've spent the time to write the book, they've gone through the publishing process, they see the impacts it has on their personal brand. And I'm super inspired by you as well because you're also a speaker and a coach. Like, you're really building up your personal brand as someone that people want to work with and they trust, and you're authentic. But I'm curious to learn a little bit about like your journey of becoming a speaker and an author. Like, how have you kind of seen this impact your personal brand?
You know, as a coach, you tend to have clients, your avatar is the person that you once were. And although I've had an amazing career, there was a lot of fear and a lot of confusion. I was navigating in a space where my peers weren't like me. And so I felt alone. And I was doing it while I
Mm.
was raising three kings before I had the pleasure of a queen coming into my life. And that's another conversation for a different day. My daughter grew up in the foster care system and came into my life later. But for, most of my life, I was raising three kings by myself and I was running a company. And so
Mm.
there was a lot of fear and anxiety of getting it right. I wanted the company to be successful, which it was. So I gave everything I had to that organization in growing it and cultivating and making sure we were making a lot of money and providing opportunity for other people to grow in their career and change their life and their family's life. And so in this journey from college very early on to working in organizations and catapulting up to the C-suite young, and then going through a divorce after having my third child and running a company, a mid-sized company at the time, and raising three kids. It's a journey like most, where you're stretched and you feel a bit overwhelmed, and yet you want to give your best. So there's a fear of
Mhm.
failure. And
Yeah.
although I've been successful, I was a great student, I've had a great career, I've made some decent money. Um, the internal journey that I think helps most listeners of podcasts is that there was a lot of fear and a lot of insecurity, even though the exterior looked like badass. And so I had to do some work to really balance that out and make sure that it
Yeah.
was direct alignment. And, as I went through school and got speaking opportunities while I was working, and got the opportunity to open doors for others because I was running a company, reporting to the CEO oftentimes. So it gives you a lot of access. But
Mhm.
at the same
Yeah,
token,
you built your platform, you can also use that to share, right? You can use that for good.
yeah, yeah. But I didn't know how to do all of that. So there was
It sounds
a,
like you naturally did, which
I only knew how to help other people.
right,
I knew
exactly.
how to help people grow in their career, coach people, help companies make money, scale company. I knew how to take care of others. I didn't know how to take care of Scharrell.
Mm,
I didn't.
mm,
And through my Christian walk, I learned more about, who I am as a person. The myth of Christianity as having to be perfect, which is not true, which is what shies a lot of people away from it. And understanding that it starts with love, and it's about loving myself. And so I started to do the work to heal and do the work to get clear and to make sure that I was living in direct alignment and authenticity, and knowing that my voice mattered and helping other people to find their voice. And then, being able to have a lot of success, win a bunch of awards, and you can find all that stuff on the internet or bio. But the real
mhm,
part of the journey is getting to this place where I can talk to you
right.
and other people on podcasts, where I can stand on stages or have an opportunity to support clients as their coach,
Yeah,
and
spread that
journey to
message.
living out a purpose, which most people don't. Most people close
Mm,
transactions. I want to get married, buy a house, raise some kids, make some money,
true.
versus
Right.
that I want to live a life and create a legacy that's one of impact. And so it
Mm,
took
and
a
your
while to
true
get
purpose.
there. I was
Yeah.
transactionally driven at first, but now I'm
Hmm,
living in purpose. So it's been good.
I love
Hard,
that. We haven't
hard,
really
Alexis,
yeah, we
but good.
right. That's why I mean, yeah, most people I think probably get there later in life because, like you said, you start off and we're kind of told that you're supposed to follow all these steps and meet all these, like, transactional goals, but imagine if we were told the other way around. Maybe those transactional goals would have came more naturally versus just feeling like it was a requirement.
Yeah, without a lot of pain. I tell a lot of the younger people that I'm coaching or people that I'm speaking with. My nonprofit serves 7 segments of individuals with my leadership and heals. And one is women,
Mm,
minorities, and victims of domestic violence, human trafficking, kids coming out of foster care, emancipated from prison, and those that are economically impoverished. And when I'm and those segmentations of people have a common denominator of looking for economic freedom and rebuilding their confidence and self-esteem. And one of the things that I would share with people is that, especially when you're dealing with children or individuals that are in a vulnerable state, is that we really have to embrace the gifts and talents that people have, because most people are born, if not all people, with something that they can contribute. But we tell
yeah.
individuals that they got to follow, this path, like you said, these
Right.
transactions, and we stifle their creativity, we shun their voice, and therefore individuals don't necessarily know who they are. And I think the thing that's most empowering is to give people a platform like you are, where they can actually find their voice and they can actually become who they are. We can support them in that, obviously guiding them between the right and wrongs, but it doesn't necessarily have to be my way to be right, right? We want people to live
Right.
with integrity and humility, but at the same token, we tend to stifle voices and steal individuals where
Yeah.
they have gifts and talents naturally. And therefore,
Right.
they can accomplish a myriad of success and millions of dollars and still be depressed and commit suicide. And
Yeah.
so
Well, money
it's,
isn't
it's
everything.
important. Yeah, it's important to
Well, we
help.
haven't talked too much about the coaching business. I'm curious if there's a moment or a memory that you have where you really made an impact on someone through your coaching. Like, I want to hear about that moment or that
Yeah,
process.
the coaching is wonderful. We really start with, most people come to me for business. They're looking to level up in business, or they're looking to improve their staffing, make more money, scale their business. There's something missing and they're not clear how to get there. And so, like I
Mhm.
mentioned, there's some fear or ambiguity. And and so we start off with some clarity. We walk through 7 pillars of high performance leadership, helping individuals get clear on their end game. Most people think it's about business, but it's really about your whole life. And if you holistically shift to high performance, then everything you touch turns to gold, literally. And so we spend
Yeah.
time on that. We walk through your bench, your tribe, whether it's your employees or the people that the company that you keep. We walk through your processes, how you make decisions or how you're running your business, SOPs and KPIs. We walk through what's your system, whether it's how you execute in your day. Are you looking at your phone? Are you speaking positive to yourself? Do you have negative self-talk? How are you running your business? Do you have boundaries? Same thing, right? We tend to think it needs to be
Yeah.
different. And then, we'll look at our ability to scale. Are you allowing yourself the white space to continue to grow? Are you constantly investing in growth? That takes time, knowing when to pivot and shifting to a place where you make your decisions in alignment. So if ultimately I always want to be successful, then I don't make decisions that are disaligned with success. And so through that coaching journey, it's a 6 month or 1 year engagement people sign off with, but the payoff is decisive excellence. The payoff is confidence.
Mm.
The payoff
Mhm.
is authenticity, and the payoff is success. And the feedback is phenomenal. I just
Yeah.
recently got feedback from a coachee that literally wrote something to me that was beautiful and just talked about how the clarity that he has gotten has changed the game for him, not only as an executive at work, but in his marriage and in his community. And that there's no words for him
Mm.
to describe the impact I've had. I've had, other individuals write about how I've, game changed their business. But the most important thing is what I've done for their life and the impact that
Mm.
I've made and how eternally grateful they are. So the feedback is phenomenal and it keeps me going and doing it, even though it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Right.
hard.
But getting that feedback can make all the
Lives are
difference. And
changed, businesses grow. You can't work with me if you don't want to make $1 million. That's a criteria. Um,
okay.
I don't
I like that.
want to think small. You can't work with
Yeah.
me if you don't want to grow. Um, you've got to be willing to do the work. And you can't
Yeah.
work with me if you don't want to operate in complete transparency and vulnerability. Because
Mhm.
you've got to be willing to be vulnerable. Because this is about high performance leadership, and we do some work. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
like those guidelines that you've placed.
So I always tell people, do you really want to be successful, or are you just saying it because it sounds good?
Right.
Yeah,
Because you think that it's supposed to be the next step in your life, but
right,
is that really what you're meant to do right now?
right.
Not always. So
So it's good. It's really good. I enjoy it. It's a lot of work in that you have to be forthright with people, and I think that everybody needs somebody in their life that's going to tell them the truth. And we help
yeah.
uncover blind spots. We talk about gaps and opportunities for improvement. We're looking at how
Mhm.
we level up each time. We have to make tough decisions and deal with the pain it might cause people when we may need to disengage a relationship, terminate an employee, shift the dynamics of how we've been exchanging in order for you as my client to level up and elevate. So it's hard work, um, and but the payoff thus far has been phenomenal. And the
Yeah.
testimonials are on the website, and I have a backlog of them that I want to post, but that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. And what can you share about when we can expect to see your book be
Yes,
released? I know.
absolutely. So we are writing in working KMD books. I'm KMD Publishing. I'm working with them. And like I said, I'm working on this 8 book series right now to deliver for them because that's coming
Wow.
out in November. And then my goal is
Okay.
for my book to come out by our conference in March. As I mentioned to you, I have Leadership in Heels. So we do local events and virtual events in March, July, and November of each year. And
Okay.
we've decided this November because we have so much going on that we're not going to have an event. I'm putting everything into the conference. So our
Okay.
goal is that when we do celebrate We Are Women's History, that's going to be our big local event on March the 14th in Orange County, California, that my book will be ready. And then in
Okay.
July, we're going to have our first conference for Leadership in Heels, Elevate. And so
Ooh,
um,
okay.
definitely know that we want to have it not later than July, but the goal is March, but not later than our July 11th event.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So,
where can our listeners find you online and connect with you? Where are you most active?
well, for those who just use LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Scharrell Jackson. If you are on Instagram or Facebook, it is at leadership period NIN period heels HEELS. And I'm
Okay.
on YouTube, Scharrell Jackson. And I have a website. That's one of the best ways, especially if you want to connect with me. If there's anybody that I could support, feel free to make an appointment. And my website is my name, SharrellJackson.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best on your exciting journey. And so, with that, it's time to turn the page on another episode of Thought Garden on the Air. We'll plug all this information in the show notes. If you have any questions about becoming an author or marketing your book, or if you're interested in coming on the show and sharing your story, you can connect with me at rosarium.work. We're on all social platforms and the web. So, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you again for listening today. We look forward to seeing you on our next segment of the Authors on the Air radio show. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, Alexis.